Birds में gases exchange is occurring with the help of lungs, and then the air sacs are also present. यहाँ पे gases exchange respiration का process जो है वो comparatively complex है. इसकी major reason वही है कि because these birds they are birds and they are flying, और during flight they need a lot of energy, और उस energy या respiration के process के लिए they need a lot of oxygen. इसलिए यहाँ पर respiration का rate of respiration जो है that would be a gas exchange that would be massive as compared to other organisms. इतनी ज़्यादा ऑक्सीजन रिक्वायरमेंट को पूरा करने के लिए दे हैव अ कॉम्प्लेक्स सिस्टम ऑफ गैसियस एक्सचेंज. जो डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ये कंपोनेंट्स हैं इस गैस एक्सचेंज सिस्टम के, दैट इन्वॉल्व्स द वॉइस बॉक्स विच इज कॉल्ड सिरिंक्स. ये रेस्पिरेशन में तो ऐसा इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, बट वोकलाइजेशन इन बर्ड्स दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ प्रेजेंस ऑफ सिरिंक्स. एयर सैक्स और ब्रोंकाई आर कनेक्टेड टू द लंग्स, so they are helping in this process of gases exchange. इसके साथ साथ एक स्मॉल एयर ट्यूब्स भी मौजूद हैं विच आर कॉल्ड एज पैराब्रोंकाई. पैराब्रोंकाई, ब्रोंकाई एंड लंग्स कलेक्टिवली मिलकर वो एक रिच एरेशन प्रोवाइड करने में सक्सेसफुल होते हैं विच इज नीडेड ड्यूरिंग द प्रोसेस ऑफ फ्लाइट. So to understand that how this gases exchange is happening in birds, we watch this video clip.
The respiratory system are to supply oxygen to the body tissue and to carry away carbon dioxide produced by high levels of metabolic activity. In birds, this process of gas exchange is crucial because the demand for oxygen during flight is enormous. The flight muscles must receive a large and constant supply of oxygen to maintain flight, and metabolic wastes must be removed quickly. Unlike most land vertebrates, birds lack a muscular diaphragm to power respiration, and instead rely upon expansion of the rib cage to draw in air. When a bird inhales, air actually leaves the lungs. Fresh, oxygenated air enters the lungs as the bird exhales. The avian respiratory system is composed of the trachea, relatively small lungs, and usually 9 large air sacs. These 9 air sacs are extremely thin-walled and do not play a direct role in gas exchange. Instead, they serve as bellows to bring air into the bird and store it until expiration. They allow a continuous stream of air to pass through the lungs in a one-way flow, thus producing the most efficient respiratory system of any vertebrate. They are also connected to certain pneumatic bones, aiding the bird in shedding excess heat from its body as it breathes, which would be fatal if not removed. These air sacs include a pair of cervical sacs, a single interclavicular sac, a pair of anterior thoracic sacs, a pair of posterior thoracic sacs, and a pair of large abdominal sacs. All of the air sacs participate to some extent in the respiratory process. All of the posterior air sacs expand on inspiration, while all of the anterior air sacs contract on expiration. The path of a breath through the system can be summarized in 4 steps. During the first inhalation, the breath travels down the trachea, into the left or right bronchus, through the lung, and into the posterior thoracic and abdominal air sacs. As the bird exhales, the abdomen contracts, forcing the air out of the abdominal sacs and into the lungs. Within the lungs, the air passes through parabronchi and eventually through air capillaries. It is only here where the exchange of carbon dioxide for oxygen occurs. As the bird inhales again, the air within the lungs is driven out. The now stale air passes into the interclavicular, cervical, and anterior thoracic air sacs. During the second exhalation, the anterior sacs contract. The air is then driven out into the trachea, where it passes up and out of the nostrils. This specialization of the avian respiratory system is one of the greatest factors in flight. Without this unique anatomy,
Birds के case में excretion is performed by a pair of kidneys, and these kidneys are metanephric kidney. So there is a large number of nephrons which are very efficient, और इनका ज़्यादातर जो number of nephron है it would remain active. It is performing the function of osmoregulation and excretion. वो waste material, nitrogenous waste material is excreted in form of uric acid because these birds they are terrestrial animals. यहाँ पर एक water deficiency जो है that is always a threat or a risk for the animal. तो water को water loss से बचने के लिए uric acid that is excreted for the purpose of excretion of nitrogenous waste. इसके अलावा दे हैव salt glands. Those salt glands, they are present very close to the nasal cavity. और इन glands का purpose जो है that is excretion of excessive sodium chloride from the body fluid. So blood में से excessive sodium chloride is captured by the salt glands through the process of diffusion or osmosis, और उसके बाद ये ड्रॉप्स की शक्ल में इसको बॉडी से एक्सक्रीट कर दिया जाता है. तो इस तरह से वाटर और सोल्यूट्स का बैलेंस इज मेंटेन्ड बाय these two structures, which are kidneys and salt glands. Reproductive system in class Aves is again these organisms. These organisms are dioecious. Mostly, rather all of them, all the birds, they are oviparous. Reproductive system या reproductive season में there is a complex behavior of courtship. They have a territorial behavior too. So the male, it would look after the territory. It wouldn't allow the other males to enter its territory. During this behavior of courtship, they would find their mates. Nest building is also their behavior during reproductive season. These organisms, they incubate their eggs. Fertilization जो है वो हमेशा इसमें internal fertilization है, और internal fertilization के बाद egg laying, and then there is an incubation period. Because eggs also need a certain range of temperature, इसलिए mostly birds, they incubate their eggs themselves. So therefore there is always a parental care. Hatching के बाद भी जो offsprings हैं, they are looked after by the parents. Mostly birds, they would feed, or the parents, they would feed their offsprings until they become independent. They start eating themselves, और वो flight जो है उसके capable हो जाते हैं. So they have a parental behavior. Reproductive जो strategies हैं, उसके केस में these organisms, they might have 3 different groups, which is actually a reproductive strategy for better survival. So ये organism, birds, they are monogamous birds, which means single male would pair with a single female, and then there is polygyny, which means the one male more than one female, and then polyandrous or polyandrous behavior or polyandry. In that case, one female would pair up with more than one males. So the purpose of these strategies is to improve the rate of survival, or to increase the density of that population. Migration is an important feature of this group. और माइग्रेशन एक ऐसा बिहेवियर है जो पाइसेस में नजर आता है. उसके बाद जो है वो हमें वर्टिब्रेट्स के केस में मैमल्स आर आल्सो एक्सप्रेसिंग दैट बिहेवियर ऑफ माइग्रेशन, बट बर्ड्स आर आल्सो शोइंग दिस बिहेवियर ऑफ माइग्रेशन. नॉट ऑल द स्पीशीज, रादर कुछ ऐसी स्पीशीज हैं जहाँ पे कि माइग्रेटरी बिहेवियर ऑब्जर्व किया जाता है. और इस माइग्रेटरी बिहेवियर में देयर आर सर्टेन पीरियड्स ड्यूरिंग द ईयर जिसमें बर्ड फ्लॉक्स, दे वुड माइग्रेट फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू द अदर प्लेस. इसकी मोस्टली जो रीजंस हैं, दैट इज हार्श वेदर कंडीशंस, और रिप्रोडक्शन के लिए, एग लेइंग के लिए, दे नीड अ कंफर्टेबल और फेवरेबल एनवायरनमेंट. सो दे मूव फ्रॉम देयर ओरिजिनल लोकेशन, दे सर्च फॉर मोर फेवरेबल क्लाइमेट, मोर फेवरेबल हैबिटेट्स to lay their eggs for their offsprings. So most important character of the weather or the season, that is the photo period, which will provide the clue that there is a migration season now. So us migration ke liye they have another behavior which is called navigation. So birds, they have a very good memory, और ये अपनी direction को navigate कर सकते हैं, and for this purpose they have 2 types of navigation. One type of navigation is called route based navigation, and other is location based navigation. तो ये अपने लिए एक रूट डिसाइड करते हैं, एंड फॉलो दैट रूट फॉर जनरेशंस एंड जनरेशंस, एंड दे डिसाइड देयर लोकेशन या वो हैबिटेट जहाँ पर जो कि इनकी डेस्टिनेशन हैबिटेट है, दे वुड डिसाइड दैट टू, और दे वुड सर्च फॉर दिस, एंड थ्रू दिस प्रोसेस ऑफ माइग्रेशन दे वुड रीच देयर. वंस द रिप्रोडक्शन इज डन और कंडीशंस जो हैं वो वेदर कंडीशंस फेवरेबल होना शुरू होती हैं, सो दे माइट गो बैक टू देयर ओरिजिनल locations or their original habitats. Navigation के पर्पस के लिए they have certain kind of receptors जो कि इनको gravitational pull या gravity की जो force है या अर्थ का जो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड है उसका एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन जो है वो प्रोवाइड करते हैं. So therefore ये birds they hardly lose their direction because they have a kind of magnetometer which is present in their body, and because the brain is highly developed, so they have a good memory. They could analyze the situation, they could analyze the signals receiving from these magnetometer which is fixed in their body in parts of sensory receptors.